The Fight Show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code CFBX on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app and use promo code CFBX. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog Pick'em in college or NFL and win up to 20 times in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. Finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today.
These are the moments that change the course of people's life.
That was a nightmare for Joe Joyce. He had a measurable
Shamefully have his number.
Effect on his mentality.
Joe started to read his own script.
What should Joe do next?
Got everything right.
It's all over! Joe! Can do power!
I always knew my son was gifted.
Joe! The juggernaut! Joe!
He just quietly gets on with it.
Stylistically, that was a nightmare for Joe Joyce tonight.
When they say, for me, you can't do this, I always have to prove to them, yes, I can.
It looked awful, didn't it?
Joe Joyce is not a brilliant boxer.
Joe has always been written off. But no matter the setback, never, ever back down.
Joe Joyce by knockout!
He's developed that resilience.
Would you like a rematch?
He's grown up with that from a very, very young age.
Does Joe Joyce go into the immediate rematch? Maybe not.
The reason he's activated it is because he thinks he can beat Zhilei Zhang.
He didn't have to take the fight.
The public realised he's the man who's taken a lot.
You know what? This kid has the ability to win a world title.
His career is on the line.
Go get it, son.
Well, they really got the dude's mum on the promo. That's crazy. You are listening to The Fight Show here on the on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. You can follow the Sports Gambling Podcast Network on X at Gambling Podcast. That's at Gambling Podcast. The reason I had a little slip up there is because I'm usually used to introducing the Soccer Gambling Podcast. I'm the host of the Soccer Gambling Podcast, and you can follow my X account on X at SGP Soccer. That's at SGP Soccer. You can also follow my other X account where I post free plays, where I tweet about all sports or tweet about it or X about it. Can you X about something? Or what's the expression now? Where I post about it, where I post about all sports and where I post my monthly P&L. And I do that because I'm a tracked and transparent handicapper who has delivered 123 months in a row of transparent track profit. That means I've been undefeated every single month in sports betting for over a decade. I've had losing days. God, I've had losing days. I've even had losing weeks. But I've always bounced back to turn the month around, and I've made a profit every single month for 123 months in a row. It's going to be 124. There's been no stress this month. This has been an absolute doddle. 15-2 on one unit plays in soccer. We look like we're en route to 3 winning weeks in a row in the NFL already because we swept a 4-0 sweep for Thursday night football in the NFL. We've had 2 winning weeks already so far. So strong month of September. And you can also add the US Open tennis futures to that as well. So we're en route to 124. The pin tweet on that X account will always be the P&L from the previous month. But if you want to do further research, and I do encourage you to do that due diligence, head over to the website lockbetting.com where all the P&Ls are posted. At that point, if you want to get my additional plays, shoot me a DM or just simply sign up for the service at lockbetting.com. But you can shoot me a DM to ask more questions at lockbettingx. That's at lockbettingx. Before you do that, have a proper look at the spreadsheets because we're all about bankroll management. We don't chase losses with bigger plays. You won't find 5-unit plays, 10-unit maxes, 20-unit whales or any kind of play of the year for 100-unit bullshit on our spreadsheets. We make betting accessible and profitable for anybody with a disposable income. But I do say if you don't have a disposable income, don't bet because you should never make a bet that you need to win. Betting is not a solution to your debt issues. Betting is not a way to get that holiday that you just can't get or to buy a car that you can't afford. No, it's a hobby. And if you align with me, it will be a very, very profitable one. At least it has been for the last 10 years or over 10 years now where we haven't had a single losing month. So let's move on to breaking down this fight, this rematch, where last time they fought, Joe Joyce was a minus 600 favourite to win it. And it was a huge upset. So you would think that Joe Joyce would come into this one as a favourite again, but a smaller favourite. But that's not the case. And that's largely down to the manner of victory. Because not only did Zhang damage Joe Joyce's eye in the fight, which is why ultimately it got stopped, but he dominated the fight throughout. He dominated all 6 rounds and then it led to a stoppage. So Zhang now comes in as the favourite and Joe Joyce, who was previously at minus 600, comes into this one as a 6-5 plus 120 underdog, with Zhang priced up at 8-11 and the draw available at 12-1. Zhang is at 5-4 to win via TKO KO again, and he's at 4-1 to get it done via a decision. Joe Joyce is at 5-2 via TKO KO and 3-1 to win via a decision. Joe Joyce has actually won 14 of his 15 professional boxing bouts via a KO TKOs. So the scorecards have not come into play, win, lose or draw for Joe Joyce. The over-under markets for this fight see under 9 rounds at 6-5 with 9th round or over at 8-13. 10 rounds is your 50-50 barometer. Under 10 rounds is at 10-11 with 10th round or over at also at 10-11. Under 11 rounds is at 8-11 and 11th round or over is at even money. Fight to go the distance, yes, is at 13-8. It's a big jump up from the 11th round. And no is at 4-9. The double chance odds see Zhang in rounds 1-6 or points at 7-4, or Zhang in rounds 7-12 or points at 5-4. Joe Joyce's odds are the same. Rounds 1-6 or points is at 2-1. Rounds 7-12 or points is also at 2-1. And the round betting markets here see Joe Joyce at 6-1 in rounds 1-6 and also 6-1 in rounds 7-12, while Zhang to win the way he won last time in rounds 1-6 is at 5-1, with the most likely outcome according to the books being Zhang in rounds 7-12, which is priced up at 7-2. So before we actually break down the fight and try and see how this fight will be won or lost, let me take a little pause here to tell you guys about DraftKings. Football's more fun when you're in on the action. So download the app now and sign up with code SGP. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Let me also take this pause to tell you guys about Game Time. Buying tickets to your favourite events shouldn't be stressful, and it has been for me on multiple occasions. I go to a lot of events all around the world, Labour Cup Prague, Nou Camp Barcelona, Bernabeu, also in Spain, but in Madrid, the Amsterdam Arena, go there whilst I'm on holidays in Amsterdam. So I get around mainly in America for UFC, WWE, MLB, NBA, of course, NFL. And obviously I watch sports here in the UK as well. I'm actually trying to get a ticket to this fight tonight. I've waited patiently. And it's just a case of, are they going to get cheaper? Are they going to get more expensive? Are these the best seats? Are better seats going to become available? Should I pay this price for these seats? And then it's the wait for them to come through. If they don't, StubHub ain't going to help you. They're not going to answer the phone. Will call, don't care. Because you got it off StubHub, it is a stress. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy and theatre near you. And with deals on last minute tickets, their best price guarantee can make sure you stop stressing over the ticket and just start getting hyped for the fun you'll have at the event that you want to go to. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So snag tickets without that stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use our code CFBX, which is shortened for college football experience. That is the promo code we are now using. So download the app, create an account, use that code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account, redeem the code CFBX to sweeten the deal for a further $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So let's move on to tackling this fight and seeing how it would be or could be won. Last time we took an underdog who was a favourite, it was successful for us because I looked at that first fight and I did see it as a fluke. I did see Eubank being caught off guard. I did see Liam Smith use his elbow, and I thought that coming into the rematch, the odds had moved way too much. I thought that the books had it right, and it was just an upset. It was just a fluke that wouldn't happen again. If they fought 10 times, Liam Smith would have won one of them. And I was all over Eubank and the overreaction. I'm not too sure that that is exactly the same case here for this one. I do think that there is value in Joe Joyce. I do always look at a minus 600 favourite being an underdog for a rematch and think that that has to be some kind of opportunity. How can opinions swing so much off the back of one fight? Joe Joyce does not have to do much differently. I don't think he needs to radically change his style to win this fight, but his style wasn't the style that we saw last time. So the fact that Joe Joyce got beaten, trying to do something that he'd never done before, does give Joe Joyce more hope, because I think the normal version of Joe Joyce and what the bookies were pricing up as the minus 600 favourite last time can win this fight. But it is a toss-up because of the convincing way that Zhang did win the last fight. Now, obviously, if Joe Joyce lost and there was no reason that you could give for him to lose, and he just simply got beaten by Zhang, and you don't know the background behind the preparation and everything that we now know about, then you would say, yeah, I'm not taking Joyce here. Rematches don't often end differently. The Chris Eubank Jr. win was an exception, and especially at 38 years of age, this guy cannot reinvent himself at this point, and Zhang is a poor matchup for him. What's unfortunate is boxing is even his own promoter, Frank Warren, in the promos turning around and saying this is last chance saloon. The guy's had one loss, and maybe he's just come up against his kryptonite. Maybe he can't beat Zhang and he can't beat him again, but maybe he can go on and beat other opponents and still make a lot of money and get to a world title via a different road. But obviously, being 38, that again goes against you, because he's going to need to win and bounce back in 5 or 6 fights, and by which time he becomes a heavyweight contender for a title at what, 42, 43? It is a long road for Joe Joyce. It's been a long road anyway. But his game plan last time was all wrong. And you could argue that if he can avoid significant eye damage, which hampered him last time, that he can suddenly be more elusive and it will be a more straightforward fight for him. But that's not the case. Joe Joyce has never been elusive. So he's going to get hit. And therefore, that makes this a dangerous fight once again. But he came into the last fight 2 stone lighter than usual because they came up with a game plan which was executed very poorly to just be quicker than Zhang and they obviously viewed Zhang as being slower and somebody that they could be quicker than and that they could outbox, and they saw that as being the route to victory. They didn't really want to get involved in this slugfest with him. But what we ended up seeing was a man who's 2 stone lighter getting involved in his usual slugfest, and without that weight behind him, Joe Joyce, his punch resistance was gone, and he's famous for his punch resistance. This guy takes punches in every fight and he can't be stopped. But last time he did get stopped, and it was probably because he was 2 stone lighter. And I do think a normal version of Joe Joyce does come in here and is able to win the fight. He shouldn't be a -600 favourite. He never should be. This is a 50-50 toss-up. And in a 50-50 toss-up, I'll take the underdog, who everybody thought was just going to coast past this guy last time out. So looking at the 19 stone version of Joe Joyce, he doesn't have to do too much differently. He doesn't have to radically change his style. He was a -600 favourite. Being that version of Joe Joyce, he doesn't need a revolutionary strategic change from what his usual game plan would have been, which was to be the 19 stone version of Joe Joyce, have that punch resistance and go in there and have a slugfest and see if you can stop Zhilei Zhang. It's not a guarantee. It is a toss-up, but we are taking an underdog here, who I said was a -600 favourite last time. He needs to protect his eyes. He needs to have some sort of head movement. You don't magically wake up at 38 and become Pernell Whitaker and you suddenly know how to do all of these things that you haven't been able to do throughout your career. Not too much is going to change in terms of the old version of Joe Joyce, and I'm talking about the old version who was undefeated, who did beat Daniel Dubois, and we saw Daniel Dubois go on to challenge against Usyk for the title, and many people thought that he should have won. So that's a big win for Joe Joyce, and a win that's looked better as time has gone on. He's also gone in there and beaten Joseph Parker, so he has credible opponents on his resume, and Zhang was seen as a stepping stone. He wasn't seen as credible as these guys, but I think we've seen that Zhang is a very, very good and competent fighter, and this will be Joe Joyce's biggest victory if he can bounce back from this loss. Joyce should be able to build momentum over the fight just simply from being in there and not taking the damage that he took last time. Zhang is the more likely one to run out of steam, I feel, in the later rounds. And if Joe Joyce can keep moving his head to a competent level and the squishy bits of his face don't betray him, this could be a much better matchup for him than last time. And it could start to look like the fight that we should have seen last time, with Joe Joyce being the -600 favourite. He doesn't need to shock the world here in order to win this fight. He doesn't even need to completely reinvent himself. As I said, I firmly believe that was a terrible, terrible game plan last time. Everything that they could have possibly done wrong was wrong and went wrong in the ring. All he needs to do is keep his hands closer to home more often than not, and do that for at least 18 minutes. And everything that doomed him last time should be solved in this fight. Don't get hit in the eye. Protect your eyes. Have some head movement. Keep your hands up and just wait for Zhang to tire, because you have better cardio. You have that punch resistance that you've had throughout your entire career. And also, you pack a punch. And you've been able to get everybody out of there so far, as you've done in 14 of your 15 fights. So I would say that the smart money here would be on Joe Joyce. And normally, there's two ways to look at it. Look, someone's gone from a -600 favourite to an underdog. That could be seen as an overreaction. The other narrative could be there's a whole litany of rematches in boxing history, and normally they're won by the same person. But last time out, we confidently took Chris Eubank to win, and it was at bigger odds than this. And I think on this occasion, I am going to bite. I am going to take the underdog once again. I'm not actually as confident, though, as I was on the Chris Eubank fight. because I was certain that Eubank was going to turn that around. I was certain that he was better than Liam Smith, and certain that Liam Smith wasn't that good. He's never looked that good before. He's never been able to stop people. He's not been known for his punch power. With Zhang, I was very, very impressed. Zhang comes into this fight with one loss, and for anybody that watched that fight, you know that Zhang, in reality, is an undefeated fighter. So I do believe I'm a show me person. Unless something's actually happened, I'm not 100% convinced it can happen. I'm convinced that Joe Joyce can beat him, but I'm not 100% convinced like I was with Chris Eubank, because so far, nobody has beaten Zhang, and this would be a huge victory for him. Not as big as the first one, because obviously that was a monumental upset and he goes into this one expected to win, but it's big in terms of it puts him in a different conversation. It puts him in a conversation with Usyk, and it puts him in a conversation with Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury likes the big fights, and we know what country Zhang boxes in, so this brings in an entirely new audience for both Usyk and Tyson Fury, and it does put Zhang in that title conversation. It puts the winner, or it puts whoever wins this fight in that title conversation. So before I actually do settle with an official pick, I'm going to take another pause here quickly to tell you guys about Underdog Fantasy. From now until October 4th, Underdog is matching 100% of first deposits up to $500. $100,000 Sundays continue on Underdog Fantasy, with a total of $2 million in prizes all season long. 100k in prizes this week, and 10k to 10 people this week as well. New sweepstakes every week of the NFL season. This week's higher or lower is Tyreek Hill, and his receiving yards are set at 91.5, higher or lower. Even if you're wrong, you'll still have a chance to win 10k. When you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. So that's Underdog Fantasy and the promo code SGPN. Let me also give a shout out here to Hall of Fame Bets, because you should stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Closing out with your lock on the show, I'm going to throw this dart and I'm going to take a play on Joe Joyce to get it done. A big switch in the odds that we've spoken about. And usually when you see somebody beaten in that manner, it's very difficult to take him to come back from it. And the line switch does make sense until you dig a little bit deeper. And that is my job here on this show. It's to dig as deep as I possibly can and to basically leave no stone unturned. And I do believe there is a narrative here as to why Joe Joyce looked so bad and as to why he lost that fight. The preparation was terrible. The game plan was terrible. He was hit continuously like a punch bag. His eye sustained damage and he was out of there. And that goes down to the corner. That goes down to the trainers. That goes down to the preparation going into the fight. I don't know why he came in at 17 stone, but his punch resistance was totally gone. And throughout his career as a 19 stone fighter, Joe Joyce has had excellent punch resistance. If he can just be there after 6 rounds and hasn't taken too much damage, that will immediately be a huge confidence boost to someone who's shown freakishly good cardio for a heavyweight, whilst last time he didn't look like a shell of the former Joe Joyce. So I think this is two different fighters. There's a 19 stone Joe Joyce and a 17 stone Joe Joyce, and I'm willing to bet on the 19 stone version, who was a minus 600 favourite last time, at the odds of 6-5 plus 120 for this one. That's it for me in this edition of The Fight Show. Good luck with all of your bets as always, guys, and thanks for listening.